This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host for SNN Network. And joining me right now is Frank Ingriselli. He is the president of Indonesia Energy Corporation. It's a publicly traded company. The symbol is INDO on the NYSE American. Frank, great to have you on. Thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you very much, Robert. I look forward to the interview.
I look forward to hearing some of your answers.
Sure, okay.
So let's start first with an overview and history of the company, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Well, Indonesia Energy started approximately 5 years ago, and it's been a private company all the way up until December of 2019, when we did our IPO, successful IPO onto the New York Stock Exchange, which, by the way, ended up being the last IPO of the year on the New York Exchange and the last IPO of the decade. But also, more importantly, the first IPO ever done by an Indonesian company on the New York or even the NASDAQ. So it was really a historic moment for the company. But it was 5 years in existence. Two gentlemen put in 30-something, close to $40 million of their own money over those 4.5 years before we became a public company, developing the assets we have. And their relationships are very important. You know, I encourage you to go to our website, look at our presentation, read the bios of the individuals who started this company, because it's important on, who you know, the relationships you have in the government in a place like Indonesia. So company started, we acquired some assets, and then they brought me on board about 1.5 years ago.
Got it. Okay. So, I'm glad you decided to join, not just because you wanted to holiday in Bali all the time.
That's right.
There's some assets here. So, on that note, how would you say this project is unique and different compared to your peers? And are there any elephants in the region?
Sure. That's a very good question, Robert. I mean, when you mentioned Bali, I have to say most people don't know anything about Indonesia. They know it about Bali because they go there a lot of times on their honeymoon. But there's a lot of people who don't even know Bali is part of Indonesia. I think it's a separate country. But Indonesia is the 4th largest country in the world. It has a rich history in the oil and gas industry over 100 years, but 50 years really has been the sweet spot. So in our company, we've got 2 assets, both of them onshore. One is on the island of Sumatra, 63,000 acres, 4 wells currently producing about 250 barrels a day. And before the big drop as a result of COVID-19 and other market forces, we were cash flow positive with just the 4 wells producing 150 barrels a day. Now with prices about half that amount, it doesn't quite reach the cash flow positive level. However, as we announced, we're drilling 6 more wells, and I can get into that a little more, which will make the company cash flow positive even at these low oil prices. And you mentioned elephants. The other asset we have is on the island of Jakarta. And Jakarta is the main island, the most populous island in Indonesia. And we have an onshore block, but what's unique about it is we're only 16 miles from the capital of Indonesia, which is Jakarta. And our block encompasses 1 million acres. And as I tell people, to give a perspective, 1 million acres is 70 times the size of Manhattan Island. So just thinking about it, you've got 70 Manhattans just 16 miles from Manhattan at a city that's a 30 million populated city in the capital of the country. This is a natural gas block. The other block in Sumatra is oil. This is natural gas. Natural gas prices in Indonesia are 300% greater than in the US right now. Even with the increase in natural gas prices in the US, it's a 300% premium. So a wonderful product. That's the elephant. That's the block that, our small production block where we're going to drill these wells, that won't attract the Chevrons or the Shells or the Exxons. But a block like this one, which we call our Citarum block, 1 million acres, this will attract the major players. This has a history to last for 30 plus years at very high natural gas prices in a country that's growing natural gas demand. So we should be able to produce, just huge amounts of cash flow, requiring huge amounts of capital. So we're intent on that elephant, as we used to call. I was at one point the president of Texaco International Operations. And we call these kind of opportunities elephant opportunities. So it was a perfect question. That's an elephant opportunity. That's going to be the big upside for the company. Develop the other asset, but that will be the long-term cash flow generator, and we'll bring in a major company as a partner.
Gotcha. And as a quick follow-up to that, who are some of your offtake partners for the product that you bring out of the ground?
Sure. So good question. So really right now on our onshore block, we're producing the 250 barrels a day where we're going to drill 6 more wells. We sell basically at the wellhead. We do have storage tanks, so it's really being sold from the storage tanks. The buyer is Pertamina, which is a national oil company of Indonesia. It's a take-or-pay situation, and we're getting the price of Brent. So Brent right now is as of today, is about $31 a barrel, about a 25-30% premium to West Texas Intermediate in the U.S. here. So we're getting a premium. We get paid in U.S. dollars, and that still is working flawlessly, and it'll continue as we move forward here.
Very good. So as you said at the beginning, you guys are the first Indonesian company to go public on the New York Stock Exchange. And also, as you said, a lot of people don't know too much about, just the politics of Indonesia,
Sure.
what it's like over there. So I have to ask, what is the geopolitical situation like
Sure.
for your company working in Indonesia?
Sure. Great question. And, I'll take this a little bit about my background, because I've been 40 plus years, over 41 years in the oil and gas industry. Started at Texaco, rose up the corporate ranks, became president of Texaco International. And when I exited Texaco, Chevron took over Texaco in 2001. And this gives a perspective about the government and country. When I exited in 2001, Indonesia was the #1 producing asset in the world for Texaco, #1. Chevron took over Texaco, and for Chevron, it was the #2 biggest producing asset in the world. We actually were partners. We were producing 1 million barrels a day, and if you go to the Chevron website in Indonesia, they've produced 12 billion barrels and $1 trillion of cash flow. And they're just one of the companies that have operated there over the last 50 years. And that's because the government has been transparent. It has been providing an infrastructure, legal, financial, for all the international energy companies to invest and produce there. So the government, the president, Jacopo, he just got reelected. It's been a very friendly government to the oil and gas industry, because that's been their biggest generator of dollars in the past and today. And so right now, Indonesia is a situation where they're an importer of oil. So what they're doing is they're encouraging the entrepreneurial indigenous companies, which we are. We're an Indonesian company. I might be Frank Ingriselli here from the United States, which are our office in California. Our CFO, who was with me in my prior company, is here with us, but it is still an Indonesian company and gets all those benefits of low cost, knowing how to do business, and driving economic efficiency and profits.
Got it. All right. So on January 16th, earlier this year, the company announced its 2020 development plans. Then on March 16th, following the COVID-19 outbreak and steep drop in oil prices, you updated shareholders by announcing that the company remains on track with 2020 production, well drilling, and exploration plans. I'd like to kind of get an update since then, so
Sure.
Can you provide what's been going on since then?
Absolutely. So one of the core promises and core aspects of our development plan, when we did our IPO, we promised the marketplace that we would take all the proceeds from that and use them to drill 6 new wells in our block on Sumatra Island, where we already have 250 barrels a day. Then we hit with the COVID crisis. So, in the middle of our planning to develop those and drill those 6 additional wells. But what we're blessed with is low cost production costs. So notwithstanding COVID-19, notwithstanding oil going from $60 a barrel down to $30 and below. I mean, it went negative in the United States even, but went below. Now it's up to $31 dollars a day. What we want to tell the marketplace is, you know what? That hasn't changed anything for us. We're still full steam ahead. We're still going to drill those wells, 6 new wells starting in July. And the cost of the production from those wells is $21 a barrel. So, at 60, we're making a huge margin. But even at, if we're $21 a barrel and Brent right now is at 31, we're making a 10% margin, $10 margin, not percent, $10 margin, which is a 33% margin on the cost of on producing that oil. So we'll drill those 6 wells. We're going to move production in the company from 250 barrels a day and exit this year at about 1,200. We will quadruple the production of the company. And accordingly, our cash flow, we should be cash flow positive, even at $31 a barrel because of that. And we should lower our cost of production to below 20. That's why we want to get out to the marketplace, tell them that, you know what, it's really tragic what's happening around the world. It's difficult for oil and gas companies here in the US. I started 2 companies, public companies, post being president of Texaco here in the US. They're in the shale business in the Permian Basin. They can't produce. They're shutting in their production. What are we doing? We're out there continuing to drill and suck up that oil because we're still making a profit even at $31. So we needed to tell the marketplace what's going on and that it's business as usual at Indonesia.
Perfect. Well, another question I had, and it was really about your background, but you've really talked about it at length already, in this interview. But I wanted to zone in on one key portion on that is during your time as president at Texaco International. Did you have experience working in the Indonesian region or just in the Asian region at all?
Absolutely. So, it was a short career, and by standards that I'm 41 years now into the industry, but 23 years. And I actually started in Asia. 1979, when I was, 25 years old, I went to China and was leading the negotiating team to develop what turned out to be the first successful development project in China. And I lived in China in 1982 and 1983, so very early stages. That kick-started my career. Texaco thought I was good in communist countries, so they sent me to the Soviet Union. I went to the Soviet Union. I ran a Russian joint venture oil company for Texaco and Exxon, and just had a wonderful career there, and including as president of Texaco International. But post that, it was actually a blessing. I leave there 47 years old, but I did 2 startups. Besides some consulting work, I started 2 New York Stock Exchange companies, very successful. Sold the last one a year and a half ago, and then that's when I joined Indonesia Energy. So it's been a great career, and most of those a lot of countries, you mentioned Indonesia. Indonesia was under the umbrella where I worked, and as president of Texaco International. So again, it was the biggest, most important asset when I left Texaco for them. And now that's why I'm back. That's why I joined this company. I want to use the experience I've had from Texaco, my experience in Asia, and lend that and join with our family at Indonesia Energy to develop those assets and make it successful with shareholders.
Got it. So then from what you can tell us, what are the 1 to 2 things that investors should look for now moving forward?
Sure. I think what they want to look at is, I'll call it our milestones, the catalyst events that they should expect. And this isn't some non-public confidential information. We try to tell the marketplace that. But what they should see is, as I mentioned, we're going to start drilling in July. They should start to see announcements like we just awarded a drilling contract to drill 6 wells, that some government permits just got issued, that we now started to drill. So we'll announce when we start to drill the first well. And then at the end of that well, how much it started to produce, the end of the next well, how much it produced, et cetera, all the way through. So probably every 20 to 30 days, you'll see continuous announcements on the next well. And every 2 wells, we will increase about 150% the production of the company. So end cash flow, double it up, more than double it up. So those are the kind of milestones and announcements you'll see along the way. And hopefully the marketplace will say, hey, wow, they can make money at $31 a barrel at Brent, which I think is going up, because 41 years, I've never seen oil go down and never come back up again. It's always down, up, cyclical. So, that's what they should look at, that we're delivering on our development plans, and we're going to deliver with profitable, cash flow profitable wells.
And with that, where can my audience go and find more information about the company?
So go to our website, www.indo-energy.com. and you'll find a lot of information there, new presentation and everything like that. So that's the best place.
Great. Well, Frank, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Robert. Yeah.
Good luck. Stay safe, and I look forward to the next update.
Great. Good. Thank you so much, Robert. Have a good day.
You too.